They said he didn't belong there. They said his bike was too loud for the neighborhood. They said he was lowering the value of their street. But what they didn't know was that the man they mocked, threatened, and humiliated was the very lawyer who drafted the housing laws that protected every one of their homes. And when they tried to take what was his, he didn't shout. He just smiled because justice, he knew, doesn't bark. It strikes. This is the story of Elijah Cole, the man who let arrogance dig its own grave. The sun rose gently over Maple Grove Estates, one of Atlanta's cleanest, quietest neighborhoods, a place where every mailbox gleamed and every lawn looked like a magazine cover. Elijah Cole's Harley rumbled softly as he turned the corner into Birchwood Lane. He parked neatly in his driveway, the chrome reflecting gold in the morning light. He took off his gloves, straightened his cuffs, and smiled. It was Saturday, his one day off from the firm. He wasn't a flashy man, mid-30s, calm eyes, and the kind of confidence that didn't need to be loud. His Harley wasn't about status, it was about memories. His late father had taught him to ride. Across the street, a curtain twitched. Karen Whitfield, the self-appointed queen of the HOA, watched from her window with narrowed eyes. Early 50s, platinum bob, always armed with a clipboard and opinions. Her teenage son Ethan came down the stairs. "Mom, can I borrow the car later?" She barely heard him. Her attention was fixed on Elijah's bike. "That thing is a menace," she muttered. "I told the HOA it doesn't fit the community aesthetic." Ethan glanced. "It's just a bike, Mom." "It's noise, Ethan, and people like him. They bring problems." Later that afternoon, Elijah was polishing the Harley when Karen walked over, heels clicking like judgment. "Good afternoon," Elijah greeted politely. She crossed her arms. "Mr. Cole, is it? That machine of yours violates the neighborhood's quiet hour rules. Several residents have complained." Elijah smiled faintly. "I keep it off before 8 and after 7. HOA policy, section 4B, paragraph 2. She blinked. "You seem to know the rules well." "I should," he said evenly. "I helped write them. I'm a municipal attorney. The city contracted my firm when Maple Grove's charter was updated." Her face stiffened. "Well, that doesn't exempt you from community standards." "I wouldn't dream of it." She looked at the Harley like it was a disease. "You know, my son's been wanting a bike. That one looks far too expensive for someone who just moved in." Elijah chuckled softly. "Appearances can be deceiving, Mrs. Whitfield." She forced a smile, the kind you give before striking. "Enjoy it while you can." As she turned away, Elijah's neighbor, old Mr. Davenport, muttered from his porch, "Careful, son. That woman's a storm in heels." Elijah nodded. "I've faced storms before." 2 days later, Elijah returned from work to find a bright orange notice taped to his garage door. HOA violation notice. Unauthorized vehicle storage. Remove immediately or face towing and fines. He exhaled slowly, peeled it off, and walked next door. Karen was on her porch, pretending to prune flowers that didn't need pruning. "Evening, Mrs. Whitfield," he said calmly. "Care to explain this?" She didn't look up. "The board decided your motorcycle constitutes an eyesore. We've had complaints." "Funny," he said, "because the HOA bylaws define unauthorized vehicle as non-functional or abandoned." "Mine is neither," she smiled thinly. "The board can interpret the rules as necessary." "Or misinterpret them," he replied. Her voice hardened. "Listen, Mr. Cole, you seem like a nice man, but this neighborhood has a certain image. Maybe you'd be happier somewhere. Looser." He met her gaze, calm as still water. "Are you suggesting I move because I ride a Harley?" "I'm suggesting," she said sweetly, "that if you don't comply, we'll have it removed." He stepped closer, still polite. "If you tow my bike without due notice, that's theft, and I'd have to pursue civil action. I'm sure you wouldn't want that." As HOA president, her smile faltered. "You don't scare me." "I don't need to," he said quietly. "The law does." She turned sharply and stormed inside. Across the street, curtains moved again. Neighbors whispering, phones recording. The quiet war had begun. By Thursday afternoon, the air in Maple Grove felt strange, thick, whispering, waiting for something to happen. Elijah Cole sat in his living room, sipping coffee, laptop open on his kitchen counter. Through the blinds, he could see a tow truck parked near the entrance of the cul-de-sac. His jaw tightened slightly. "They really did it," he murmured. Outside, Karen stood beside the tow truck driver and 2 HOA board members, Earl Jenkins, the vice president, whose backbone was made of fear, and Lucy Burns, who followed Karen's orders like scripture. Karen wore sunglasses and power, both oversized. "Mr. Cole has ignored repeated warnings," she said, holding up her clipboard like a badge. His motorcycle violates neighborhood standards, and it will be removed immediately. The driver scratched his neck. Ma'am, this says private property. I need a homeowner's signature. Karen smiled. I'm HOA president. My word is as good as a signature. The driver hesitated. Ma'am, no offense, but it doesn't work that way. Her tone sharpened. Then consider this authorization. She shoved a paper in his hand. From across the street, Elijah stepped out calm, collected, wearing a navy suit and no tie. Coffee mug still in hand. He walked slowly, every movement deliberate, the kind of calm that made noise feel childish. Good afternoon, he said. What seems to be the emergency? Karen turned. You're in violation, Mr. Cole. We're removing this vehicle. He smiled faintly. On whose authority? Mine, she snapped. He tilted his head. Ah. Then perhaps I should remind you, Mrs. Whitfield, the HOA charter does not grant you legal authority to seize private property without a court order. Earl looked nervous. Karen, maybe we should— Quiet, Earl, she barked. Elijah's tone remained polite. And since you've already engaged a third-party contractor to trespass, you've exposed the HOA to civil liability. Her face flushed. You're bluffing. He sipped his coffee. Would you like me to cite the statute? The tow truck driver glanced between them. Ma'am, I think I'm out. Not worth losing my license. He climbed into his truck and drove off, leaving the HOA trio standing awkwardly in the street. Karen's voice trembled with fury. You think you can hide behind your fancy words? You don't belong here! The words hung heavy in the air. Elijah's smile faded. His voice dropped to a near whisper, controlled, powerful. I belong wherever I build peace. You, Mrs. Whitfield, build walls. Neighbors peeked out from their porches now. Cameras, phones. The street was a stage. Karen's son, Ethan, appeared from their driveway, watching in silence. His face showed something his mother lacked: shame. Karen folded her arms, trembling with anger. I'll call the police. Elijah nodded. Do that, and I'll show them this. He reached into his briefcase and pulled out a document crisp, sealed with the HOA's own logo. I drafted your HOA bylaws 5 years ago when Maple Grove applied for city funding. I also represented the municipality during your zoning appeal. Everything I own here and everything you're doing falls under ordinances I helped write. The color drained from her face. And, he continued calmly, by attempting to enforce a non-existent clause, you've not only violated due process, you've committed harassment under Georgia State Statute 1611-39. That's punishable by civil penalties and removal from HOA office. Gasps. Phones. Recording. Earl stepped back as if the sun had just exploded. Lucy whispered, Karen, he's not bluffing. Karen glared at her. Shut up! Elijah's tone softened, almost kind. Mrs. Whitfield, I'm not here to fight you. I bought this home because I believe in peaceful neighborhoods. But peace doesn't mean silence. You've been bullying people here for years, sending threats, fines, and letters you had no right to send. That ends today. Karen clenched her fists. You think you're some kind of hero? He shook his head. No, I'm just someone who refuses to be small. That night, word spread faster than wildfire. By morning, the story had leaked. Thanks to one neighbor's Facebook post, HOA president tries to tow lawyers Harley illegally gets schooled in front of the whole block. It went viral locally, and then reporters came. Saturday morning, the Maple Grove HOA emergency meeting was packed. Neighbors filled every seat. Cameras from Channel 9 outside. Karen sat at the head table, wearing her best pearl necklace and worst expression. Elijah entered quietly, papers in hand. Mr. Cole, said the HOA treasurer nervously. You requested to speak? He nodded. Just briefly. I won't take more than 10 minutes. Karen snorted. He'll take none. He's not a board member. Elijah smiled faintly. Actually, as a homeowner in good standing, Section 7A allows me the floor for up to 15 minutes when accused of a violation. I'm here to clear the record. Publicly. A murmur spread through the room. He stepped forward, placed his files on the table, and began. Last week, I received multiple violation notices from this HOA, all signed by Mrs. Whitfield. Each one claimed my motorcycle breached community standards. However, as this document proves, he held up the bylaw page. No such restriction exists. He projected photos, receipts, timestamps. Each one dismantled her lies. Karen's jaw tightened. Those rules are outdated, Elijah nodded. Then why are they still on your official letterhead? Gasps. Someone whispered, She's finished. He continued calmly, voice steady as truth itself. This isn't about a motorcycle. It's about power, how it's used, and how it's a